everyone. I, Sajal Mishra, welcome you all to the fourth edition of Cine East International Film Festival of India, CIFFI 2022, world's first 7-day film festival being organized by educational institutions of three countries, Australia, India, and China. DME Media School of Delhi Metropolitan Education, Noida, Delhi NCR, India, in association with School of Communications and Creative Arts, Deakin University, Melbourne, Australia, and in collaboration with School of International Communication and University of Nottingham, China. It is our privilege to announce that this is the fourth year of a collaborative venture of GME Noida and Deakin University, Melbourne. The theme of CIFFI 2022 is Cinema for Togetherness, #Millennial Movies. Mr. Tigmanshu Dhulia, National Award-winning film director from Bollywood, is the festival ambassador for CIFFI 2022. We are extremely thankful for his constant support. This year, Mr. Vinay Pathak, acclaimed theatre and Bollywood actor of Bheja Fry, and Khosla Ka Ghosla fame is the face of CIFFI 2022. We are proud to mention that this year, CIFFI has received an overwhelming response across the globe, surpassing its own record from the previous editions. We have received 3,365 films from 112 countries in 6 different languages and categories. These include ad films, short films, documentaries, action fiction films, animations, and musicals. Out of these thousands of entries, our team has shortlisted 365 films that are being screened throughout the 7 day of the festival. Since its inception, CIFFI has been raising the bar of film festivals on a globe scale. The first edition was held in April 2019 as a 4-day film festival. The second edition, held in 2022, was themed cinema and COVID-19 impact, and the third edition was held in 2021 with the theme cinematic rejuvenation. This is the fourth edition of CIFFI, and with every passing year, we are achieving new milestones. This year, CIFFI 2022 will be holding 25 sessions, including 16 film screening sessions, 3 panel discussions, 3 workshops, and 3 masterclasses. I now request my friend Riya Singh to tell us about our partners for CIFFI 2022.
Thank you, Sajal. I am pleased to mention that this year we have 19 partners for CIFFI. Nottingham University, China is our international partner. Our festival partners are Cover Drive Productions, a Noida-based production house, Vigyan Prasad, the organizer of National Science Film Festival of India and International Science Film Festival of India, CMS Vatavaran, Environment and Wildlife Film Festival and Forum, Kids Cinema, International Children's Film Festival, Culture Cinema, a concept-based film festival aimed at celebrating world cultures, We Care Film Festival for promoting exhibiting films on disability, Delhi International Film Festival for screening films amidst heightened deliberations on world cinema. Our institutional partners are Global Media Education Council, an international platform for media educators and researchers, Indian Documentary Producers Association, an association of documentary filmmakers, Indian Academy of Shorts, an institution for imparting craftsmanship of filmmaking through small capsules, New Delhi Film Foundation, a prominent film society. The partnering media houses include APN News, a fast-paced current affairs web channel, The Policy Times, international platform for unfolding policy and governance issues, Quick News web portal, Nishpaksh News Hindi Daily, News 44 YouTube channel, Gulistan News TV news channel. CIFFI 2022 is supported by Asian Media and Cultural Studies Network, Australia-India Film Practitioners and Researchers Network, and powered by SPARK, student body of DME Media School. Journalism at DME is the official newsletter of DME Media School. This fortnightly publication covers all the major activities happening in and out of the campus. It is a student-centric newsletter carried out entirely by them under the supervision of faculty members. DME TV is the official YouTube channel of DME, where you can find the playlist related to all sessions, lecture series, film festivals, and conferences. It gives me immense pleasure to announce that for various sessions, we will be going live on our official Facebook page of DME. For more information, follow us on our social media handles. Links are being shared in the chat box. We are gathered here today for the first panel discussion of CIFFI 2022 on the subject Student Filmmaking Post-COVID-19. This session is brought to us by University of Nottingham, China. We are honored to have Dr. Vikrant Kishore, Associate Professor, University of Nottingham, China, and Festival Director, CIFFI 2022. Over to you, sir.
All right, I think Professor Amrish Saxena should do the introductions first. Can you hear me?
Yes, Dr. Kishore. So to welcome everybody to day 2 of CIFFI, Cineasta International Film Festival. As it has already been told, this is the 4th edition, and this is one of its kind film festival which has been happening for the last 4 years in a collaborative mode. It was started by an educational institution, DME, and then Deakin University joined hands right from the beginning. So thanks to the efforts of Dr. Vikrant Kishore, that we started as a collaborative venture of DME and Deakin in 2019. So 2 countries were there in this association, and then this year, again, thanks to Dr. Vikrant Kishore, University of Nottingham, China campus has also joined. So this kind of festival does not exist in any part of the world. Another important part of this film festival is that we have a lot of screening, and this time screenings have returned to the physical space. Obviously, during the last 2 years, due to pandemic, that kind of physical space was missing, though we were doing a lot of sessions in hybrid mode. But then the essence, the watching the film sitting in an auditorium kind of setup, that was not there. But this time we have restored that, but we have not left whatever we learned during the last 2 years, having these kind of sessions wherein the people from different countries, they can join and they can deliberate. And this particular session is further unique in the sense that there are only student panelists. Earlier years also these kind of panels were there, but then in those panels, the panelists, the students were there belonging to one institution. But this time the panelists include all these 3 universities and 3 institutions: DME, Deakin University, and Nottingham University. So it's really something different that we are trying to do. And I believe that any such venture wherein the educational institutions are taking the lead, the students should always be in the forefront. And that is what we are seeing in this morning session. And I am also thankful to Dr. Filippo Gilardi, who has been kind enough to join hands with us in this film festival, CIFFI 2022. Let me tell you something about Dr. Filippo, who has made an immense contribution to media education in the industry, and particularly he has ventured into many new areas and initiated studies in those areas, which is actually the need of the hour. Dr. Filippo Gilardi is an associate professor of creative industries and transmedia, and currently the head of the School of International Communications and the director of the Institute of Asia and Pacific Studies, IAPS, at the University of Nottingham's China campus. His research interests focus on media convergence, copyright protection, and the development of global digital platforms. He recently published the articles From Copycat to Copyright, Intellectual Property Amendments, and the Development of Chinese Online Video Industries, and also how online video platforms could support China's independent microfilm, that is the short film makers, and enhance the Chinese film industry, both available open sources. Now, let me also add here, my association with the Nottingham University is very recent, but then during this period, during the last 10 days or so, I have attended 2 conferences online with Nottingham University, and with my first-hand experience, I must tell this audience that the way the conferences and the symposiums are being organized, it's commendable. They are being worked out so meticulously, and the participation of the students and the teachers and the researchers is really huge. And this particular aspect, since this film festival is about films, the only 2 days, 3 days back, this conference was organized by Nottingham University, thanks to the efforts of Dr. Filippo, that was on short films. And short films is one such thing which is very in thing, particularly after this OTT has come. And in our film festival, CIFFI 2022, also we have 6 different genres, 6 different category of films, wherein we have included all short films, short fictions, documentaries. So obviously the duration of all such films is falling in the category of short films. So that is also one important area. Now coming back to today's sessions, today we have organized these 2 sessions courtesy Nottingham University. One is this panel discussion of students, and another session is on Sino-Indian collaboration as far as filmmaking is concerned. So without wasting further time, it's the time that we should start this first panel, and I hand over this to Dr. Vikrant Kishore to take the things forward from here.
All right. So I would like to first invite Professor Filippo Ghilardi on behalf of Nottingham University to say a few words, and then we'll move on to the panel discussion.
Okay, so hello everybody. I will be quite short because I understand we had some technical issues, so we push the time on. So let's try to have the panel starting in time. So hello and welcome from our side to the University of Nottingham, in China, to the School of International Communications. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this event as a part of our newly created partnership with the Cineast International Film Festival of India. These have been quite a few busy days. We started with our Ningbo Short Film Festival conference here in Ningbo 2 days ago, where Professor Saxena was so kind to present as a keynote at our conference, and where we start discussing with the local industry and international guests what are the needs to create talent for the film industry and the television industry. In our case, as we are just starting developing a program on that and furnishing our school with new equipment and new lab, the first goal obviously is connect with the local industry and gather feedback from people that are more experienced than us internationally, to be sure that we will do well during this development, and also understand what are the needs of the local industry, obviously to provide what the industry needs. Then we had yesterday the opening of the Cineast International Film Festival of India, and today we have this, I would say, very exciting opportunity for our student to be able to discuss in a panel with the student from Australia and from India. So I hope that our collaboration will give more opportunities to our student, for example, to submit their films to international film festivals, and further collaboration will happen between China, India, and Australia. Thank you, and I leave the stage to Levi, that will start moderate the first panel session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Filippo. It's a pleasure to be moderating the panel for student filmmaking post-19 at the Cineast International Film Festival. So yes, my name is Levi Dean. I'm the Director of Audio Visual Technology at the School of International Communications here at the University of Nottingham, Ningbo, China. I'm also a teaching fellow in communications and cultural studies. So once again, I just want to thank everybody for inviting me and our students. We're very excited, and a warm welcome to everybody. So I feel like it will be a good starting point to introduce the panel itself. So we have from the University of Nottingham, Ningbo, China, Yuchen Peng, Bell Hu, and from Delhi Metropolitan University, we have Tanishka Tiwari and Nitin Gupta, and from Deakin University, we have Meg Welch and Adam Copeland. So I'm going to kind of start this with perhaps each member of the panel could introduce themselves, and I'll start with the members from the University of Nottingham to begin with. So what I'm interested in, first of all, just for you to tell us a little bit about yourselves and perhaps the kind of films that you've made, that you're working on, and you're intending to make in the future. So Yuchen, warm welcome, and perhaps you can start off, please.
Okay, can you hear me clearly? Okay, hello everyone, my name is Yuchen Peng, and I'm a Year 4 student in International Communication Studies in University of Nottingham, Ningbo, China. And since I'm not a filmmaking major student, but my interest outside the campus is directing and photographing. So recently I've been preparing for applying film schools abroad in US and UK. It is my pleasure to have this opportunity to have a discuss with students of filmmaking abroad outside of China.
Okay, thank you very much, Yuchen, for that introduction. So, Bell Hu, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Hi, I'm Year 3 student studying international communications. And during the pandemic, I was in Beijing and directed a film which was come from the experience from my family. So I was trying to combine the photographing with my interest, which is illustration, and I make this film. And in the future, I would like to maybe trying to finish the film first, and then maybe trying to make experimental films. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Bell Hu. So I would like to now ask from Delhi Metropolitan University, Tanishka, maybe you could start off and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the films that you've made and currently making or possibly intending to make. So thank you very much.
Yeah, hello everyone, I'm Tanishka Tiwari and I'm a student of journalism and mass communication. I'm a big movie buff who likes to watch movie in her leisure time, and I love to break the films down to their core. For my future, I want to pursue a career in PR and advertising. So ad films is what interests me the most. For many of my assignments also, I have made many short ad films, and that's what keeps my interest going. Apart from that, I think thriller is a genre which I enjoy the most, and I aspire to write a thriller script once. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Nitin, if you could continue, please, with that.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Nitin Gupta. I'm final year student of DME Media School, and I'm pursuing BJMC. And personally, I'm like all my days I went like watching films every day. And because I want to make one of my films, one of the feature films on my own, and that is my dream. Currently, I'm writing a play for a theater, and it's like all my thoughts have been occupied by that. And thanks to DME and thanks to this college for the reason I came here to learn about filmmaking and to pursue my dream and to make my film one day. So all the teachers helped me out here a lot, and I am very grateful for that. And apart from this, like I like to illustrate, I like to sketch a lot. So yeah. And one of the favorite genre of mine is sci-fi. I love science fiction, and Indian mythology is something which amuses me, and is something which I'm also writing on and want to make a feature film about it. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Sounds like you're very busy and tend to be very busy in the future. So look forward to kind of delving more deeply into that. So I'm going to shift now to Deakin University. So perhaps Meg Welch, you could follow on from Nitin, please.
Hi, I'm Meg. I am a third-year Deakin student. I'm studying film, TV, and animation. I'm almost done. I'm just finishing off my internship. I just love being on set. Honestly, that's my favorite thing that I like to do. I'm mostly interested in producing and production design. I love production design so much, and I've only recently got into that in the past year, working on the third-year films at uni, and yeah, I absolutely adore it. I think in the future, I just like to be on set in any capacity, but specifically production design. I love that. And my favorite genres, it's so hard for me to narrow it down, but drama and thriller, I love. And yeah, that's me.
Okay, thank you very much, Meg. Thank you very much. Adam Copeland, could you follow on from Meg, please? We are excited to hear from you too.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. I'm also a third-year student, and I'm just wrapping up my final year. Over my time at Deakin, I've directed 3 films, and going forward, I think I love pre-production, production, post-production, and I'll do anything to any capacity, I think, in the industry. Over the past 10 years, I really tried to kind of cultivate as many skills as possible. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, great, thank you very much. So just kind of building on this then, so obviously the session is student filmmaking post-COVID-19. So I know that from the students here at UNNC, COVID is actually still very much real. So there are some challenges when we're thinking about filmmaking. So perhaps the first question I'd like to pose to each of the panel members is, do you actually have any experience prior to COVID-19 pervading? Maybe someone would like to jump in and tell us a little bit about perhaps what life was like before COVID and what life is like after COVID, or even during COVID, from within a filmmaking context.
Incredibly difficult. It was really like, it's just a shame, COVID as a whole, but especially at uni and studying something so hands-on. Yeah, before COVID, I think my course actually started like as COVID was starting, so I never really got the hands-on experience. I did all my very basic training on cameras and everything on the computer, like it was, and reading like manuals and kind of getting the theory but not getting the practical. So it was really tricky. So the amount I have learnt this year post COVID lockdowns on set has been probably the most amount of information I have learnt since high school. So it was quite a shock to the system, but yeah, it was really quite the challenge learning during COVID.
That's quite interesting, because you're kind of noting there that it sounds like from a technical point of view, you've learned a lot more since we kind of, in the context of Australia, moving on from COVID restrictions. Perhaps you could talk a little bit about creativity during kind of the, being amongst restrictions during COVID. Did you feel like it kind of enhanced your creativity because you had kind of these parameters or strict parameters that you had to work within, and therefore now when you're approaching the creative development of a product, that it's a little bit easier, or perhaps not?
I don't know if it made it easier or harder. Everything felt a bit harder because it was COVID, we're not sleeping, we're not doing enough. But I think it created a space where we could have so much imagination. So we spent a lot of time thinking. I think for me, I think it was probably pretty even. Like I felt stunted because I couldn't go out and do exactly what I wanted to do or whatever, but I had so much time to sit there and process thoughts. And it's a shame I didn't get into really like writing scripts until this year, because that would have been such a phenomenal thing to do during lockdown. Yeah, I don't know if Adam and the other panelists feel the same, but I think I'm about 50-50 on that.
Thank you. I was actually interested to hear from you, Adam. Maybe you can pick up on this if anything has resonated or you have any different thoughts.
Yeah, my pathway has been really interesting at uni because I started my first year in 2019. And so that was a really nice window to kind of get to know people and get to learn things and experiment and, you know, make my own little films. And so I made a film, like this 10-minute film, and that was not encumbered by any restrictions, and that was great. And then in 2020, I think I deferred most of that year, and then 2021 was when I did my second year. And I think we had a short fiction film unit, and for the film that's playing at this festival, we had the first half of that trimester where we were on campus and we were learning and collaborating, and everything was going well. And then COVID, I think we entered like the 5th or 6th lockdown. I can't remember, in Melbourne, and so we had to scramble together to just rewrite the script. I was lucky because I was working with very close friends who could help me out nonetheless with our film. And I think it came together pretty well. I think our team managed, you know, being in different locations and all that very well. Yeah, and then coming out into third year, I think, you know, I had not known many people from second year because most of that was online. And so, yeah, that was a whole process of just, yeah, really getting to know people from scratch and, yeah, working your way up.
Okay, thank you very much. Very interesting. And I'm interested to hear thoughts from India. So Tanishka and Nitin, does any of this resonate, or do you have a different perspective in terms of your filmmaking experience prior to COVID, during COVID, or even after restrictions?
Surely COVID brought a halt in the entire world. Everything stopped for about a year. And cinema too had its backlash after that. There was a limitation in the availability of facilities. There was a limitation with location. People couldn't go out. They couldn't explore themselves. They couldn't explore their creativity. And this did bring a whole backlash to the entire cinema industry. But I think COVID, along with this, gave a whole new rise to a new generation of filmmakers. Because after COVID, there has been a generation of new content. Because after post-COVID, when I look back at movies which are being shot after COVID, I am seeing that there's been a change in documentaries. Documentaries used to be shot based on things that filmmakers see around them. But now filmmakers are choosing to make films on their own personal experiences or making films that hit close to home. My course started post-COVID, so I didn't really get the practical exposure. But for the past year, I have been getting that practical exposure, and I have to say it's been a challenge learning to work with technical equipments and learning to work in an open field. But I do feel the practical exposure, it's what's most important for filmmaking, which had a big stop during COVID. But along with that, I think we came up with a whole new ideas. We came up with new ways to work with this. We came up with new ways to work through this problem. Half of the things that we used to do physically shifted online, and which has become more easier to the physical mode and to our budget. So like speaking from personal experiences, when I work on my assignments where I have to make films or where I have to go in the field and shoot, I think that it's become easier for me compared to what I have heard from my seniors, because now any work that I was supposed to go in the field, go and do in the field, I'm easily being able to do it at home. Because post-COVID, we got the rise of all the new softwares and new applications which could be easily used. Like right now, we are connected to each other through Zoom. If it were before COVID, we would probably be there together physically. But right now, Zoom had a big rise after COVID. So I think this is what happens after, like, when a human comes through with a problem, we learn to build solutions around it.
Thank you very much.
So very well said, Tanishka. And my story is a bit different. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to play my age card here. So I'm quite old. I'm 25. And when I joined this course, I joined with this thought, I'm going to get a camera and I'm going to start making films. And it was that easy in my head. But in reality, it was completely different. So like I joined my session during the COVID, when COVID got hit. And it was a blunder. Like I did not know how to go about and how to learn things about camera. And when you are having class online, so you get the basics of it, like you get the essence like on paper, but how to handheld it, how to go around, how to move it in a studio, how to move it in a shoot location, you don't know anything of that. And you in order to learn or in order to understand, you need to be physical for that. So COVID has a very big impact on it, on the learning especially. But post-COVID now, I am glad that we are somewhat learning in hybrid mode, and it has really enhanced my skills and my personal experience, because earlier I did not even communicate with a lot of my friends here. And when like lockdown got over and when it actually came to physical mode, I made good friends. I learned a lot from them, and they have become a very good part. But meanwhile, like during the COVID, like last year, we had an assignment to make a short film. And so I would say like for me, COVID was personally a positive thing. So I'm sorry, like COVID has done a lot of bad things to a lot of people. But for me, it brought some positive things to my life. For example, it gave me a time to rethink like what I want in my life, and gave a lot of ample amount of time so that I can write. So during that COVID time, I wrote a lot. And now I'm just trying to bring that to reality. So COVID brought me that. And so yeah, this was my take. And now the post-COVID, everything is becoming hybrid. So everything like, for example, during the COVID, we found ways to communicate through a new way. So now it has become more efficient compared to pre-COVID. So post-COVID is like the hybrid era, and this is the way to go, I believe, in the future. And it is what I'm also doing. So yeah, that was my take on.
Okay, great, thank you very much. I can certainly resonate with some of the benefits of COVID restrictions, because when I arrived in China, I quarantined for a period of time, and I really wanted to develop my my color grading skills with DaVinci Resolve, and I had a short window to do so. So yeah, that was certainly resonates. So as I mentioned at the beginning, that here in China, we're still facing COVID in terms of restrictions. It's very much real. And with Baohu and Yuchen Peng here with me, so they've been completing films and producing content with at times with having to kind of work around such restrictions. So I'm interested to perhaps hear from both of you what your experiences have been and how you've navigated some of the restrictions, and if possibly it has kind of benefited your filmmaking. So I'll bring up Yuchen first.
Okay, actually, I haven't started to do the filmmaking stuff before the COVID, but as you might or might not know, in China in 2022, in the early period of 2022, we still have very strict restriction of the COVID, and a lot of us have been quarantined for a long time. And it is this year I started to prepare my portfolio for my master's degree, to applying master's degree. So when I was doing the pre-production period of my short film, it was a family drama, and I was preparing it in my hometown, which is a small city. But so there is hardly no good actors and cinematographers there. I have to find someone who can help me from the outside the city, from other province. But because in the early period of 2022, the lockdown and quarantine happened often, very often. So most of my crew members they have been locked down in their city and cannot come to help me to finish the short film. I think that's quite a problem for me at that time. But finally, I contact to some of the students in the art school of my hometown, and I get it done. So I think because China has loosened our restrict of quarantine now, and I think this will be a good opportunity for us to make films.
Thank you very much. So it actually sounds like in many ways that you are faced with challenges, but it's perhaps prepared you for the world of filmmaking, which can sometimes be kind of slightly chaotic and things don't always go to plan. So yeah, thank you very much. So Beth, would you like to come up and have a little discussion as well?
Yes, we share the same experience during pandemic in the earlier period of 2022, and actually before that I haven't made a film, and I even like don't have many friends who are making films, but like I noticed like because China with the strict lockdown of pandemic and also has strict censorship, so like before the pandemic, like people usually go to the cinema, but like right now people are more willing to maybe watching the films through the Zooms or like Teams, and people will arrange such event online and like everybody gathering together, and also like some underground places like clubs or even like beside the road, like people will gathering together and like grab the beer to drink and watching the film. So I think it's kind of like comparing these two periods, like I think the film watching is more dynamic and also have like even has more like social function than before, I think. So and also like because I noticed the Zoom watching of the film, so I watch a fashion film which like this designer, he mixed the Zoom screen into his documentary, and so I noticed that, and I feel like it's really interesting, like before because maybe before the pandemic people didn't have the idea like how this kind of film can enter the like to maybe to make a really formal work. So because I do my internship in Beijing, and like people in Beijing, like because Beijing has good schools for filmmaking, and I actually, because I don't have so many friends like related to this field, so I actually asked them in social media, like in China, maybe you guys don't know, but it's kind of like Instagram and like Twitter, this kind of two social media, and I asked them to join me, and they are also very kind and warm heart. So actually, like their positive parts is like people are more like willing to do things with their passion, and they are will like kind of maybe help me for like, even they will like kind of push back their work to help me. So I feel really appreciate for that. And for the best things, I feel like it's the lockdown, like because it's really emergent. Like when I'm making this film, like people the neighborhood is have positive people, so they are locked down, and I was like afraid of mine directing. So yeah, so I really make it really fast, like in 2 days in my little apartment. And so yes, so the exterior thing actually lacks a lot of like preparation, and this is my experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I want to pick up on something because you mentioned kind of about work experience. So that kind of is quite a nice thread through for perhaps the next discussion that we can have. I'm interested to hear if any of the panel members have been able to have had the opportunity to undertake work experience within the industry, and perhaps you can talk a little bit about, you know, what the benefit of that was, and you can also just for the rest of the panel and the audience talk about your experience from your part of the world. So anybody want to chip in? Or perhaps nobody's engaged in any work experience at this moment in time, which is absolutely fine as well. So in that case, I will okay.
Jump in. So the extent of my work experience has all been this year, pretty much. I produced a short film last year, and that was the first thing I've ever done. And I'm not sure why I started with producing, because that was the most stressful thing I could have done. But this year I've been able to get on a handful of short films, most of them in uni, but some of them outside. So like independently funded, with people who have been in the industry for a while. And that was incredible. It was just amazing to just sit and watch. But now I'm doing my internship in sports media production. And yeah, I think I have learned so much from the 2 months I've been there, that it's actually very interesting and a little bit disheartening. My supervisor did tell me, like, he didn't think a lot of us interns that come through are industry ready, which is definitely a very disheartening thing to hear. But I think it just goes to show the impact COVID has. You know, you study for 3 years and then at the end you're still not quite there. But I have found, like, since like this year being out of COVID has definitely been like the biggest, just the most amount of information I've taken in a long time. So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Just to pick up on that a little bit more, in what ways, maybe from your perspective, did you perhaps not feel industry ready when undertaking your placement?
Yeah, I think very much the technical side, which makes total sense. The technical side of cameras, like, you know, the being able to quickly recall what something is, or like showing what would look best in, you know, very, very much like technical, your white balances and stuff like that. Stuff that you would think are very simple. But I suppose when you haven't had like the tactical, practical experience, I know for me, like, not everyone learns by just, you know, reading from a book or something. Like, I need to be very hands-on. So I think that's definitely where I have lacked the experience. And it is quite a shame, but I think it really just goes to show, like, I don't think I've even touched a camera until last year, and that was, you know, halfway through my course. So yeah.
And that's certainly, you know, even from being an educator myself, you know, sometimes you're delivering content to students, even just teaching something as simple as the exposure triangle, but it may seem comprehensible and very straightforward, but when you're in a given situation such as you've just noted there, it can be actually quite difficult, because often when we're working with film, in particular on industry level, fast, and when things are happening fast, that can cause to necessarily work through things. And this is one of the encouragements that me and my colleagues give to even to our students. So just keep making film, just keep doing it, keep practicing it, and it can be very helpful for strengthening skill sets. Does Adam, perhaps you have something to add? I don't know if you've had any industry experience, but yeah, you can talk a little bit and let us know either way.
Yeah, I haven't commenced my internship module yet. Yeah, all of my experiences come from working on other films. I was just on an honours film a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago. And yeah, I think we had a pretty well-oiled crew, because most of them were pre-COVID. And I think again, a big challenge with a lot of I think a lot of content creation now is, I think, sort of getting that human element back. I think, you know, getting to relearn a lot of social cues, or just getting to know people again. Because I think, you know, having like 2 years of absence from, you know, real world, you know, conversation or meetups, you know, you find that, you know, you've got to really sort of understand who you're working with, you know, what the sensibilities of another person is like, and do they work well with you. I think that's what I learned, technical lingo when you're kind of working on your own. Under COVID, it's kind of just, you know, get on your iPhone and make something avant-garde, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. So Nitin and Tanishka, do you have anything to add within the context of work experience? No problem if you don't.
Yeah, sure. I haven't really had that big of an experience, but during high school, I remember I used to be a keen writer. I used to write my own scripts. And coming to college made me get up, grab my camera, and actually shoot what I wrote. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity, because during my starting semesters, I used to go out and film short ad films for my assignments. It was quite fun. I used to like ask my friends or my classmates to pitch in, help me out and act for my films while I directed and wrote most of the things. I also got into editing through this way. And after seeing my work, I got little appreciations from my professors. They said I do have a nice eye for things. I do have a nice way of storytelling. I just needed to work on my technical aspect. I wasn't much of a story creator or a filmmaker before, but definitely getting that feedback, I realized I could explore myself. And last semester, I had this thought that I would just get up and shoot a music video. It was for an assignment where we were supposed to shoot a short film, but I thought I would go differently and shoot a music video, an 8-minute long music video. And for this, I put in a lot of work. I spent around 1 month on the scripting aspects. And this time I hired actual actors, professional actors, because I really wanted this one to be different from all the other work. And I'm very glad I did that, because it did work out. It did turn out very beautifully and way better than I expected. And I honestly didn't believe that I had it in me. But that's what I think, that if you want to get into filmmaking, or if a filmmaker wants to create something, I think rather than just putting it off or deciding when's the best time for it or how you are going to portray it, I think it's the best thing to do is grab your camera and just start working with bits and pieces. Because till you don't see it on the big screen, you will never get the work that you are imagining or the work you are thinking about till you actually get and work with it.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm just how did you find working with professional actors? What was the difference compared to, you know, working with amateurs, if that's the right way to phrase it?
So earlier when I used to shoot with my friends, I would instruct them, I would direct them, like, you have to go about this way, or you can maybe do this way, and they would do it the exact way. Or there was sometimes they suggested me that okay, I won't be able to do this scene, maybe you can change it and like do something or write something which is more comfortable for us to shoot. And that used to become a big blunder for me, because after shooting the films, they didn't come out exactly like how I had planned or how I had imagined. But working with professional actors, the best part was that they already knew the work. I just had to instruct them that I want a certain expression or I want a certain angle, and they would do exact that. They wouldn't make me work around their comfort zone. Rather, I just had to instruct them how to do it, and they would give me just that. And the best part was that I learned a lot from their experienced careers, because they would give me tips and tricks of how camera also works, or how I can make my scene work, come out like blow even better, because they have had an experience before and they have worked with numerous writers, numerous directors, and they had a pattern. They learned a pattern of each one of them. And I think the best part for me was that I got the experience, I got the second-hand experience to learn from the previous directors or previous filmmakers. And I think that working with the professional actors was way better for me than working with my friends.
Thank you very much. And Nitin, do you have anything to add to that?
I would say I'm that amateur, so I'm not the expert actor here. So, but yeah, I'm an amateur filmmaker. So my hands-on experience through the industry is not that big, but when people from industry come to our college and when they speak about, so from there I get to learn a lot. Especially in coming days, Vinay sir, Vinay ki Pathshala. So Vinay, a very good actor, and I really admire him. So he's going to be coming. So through all these like seminars and events, they are my key points where I take away like what the industry standards are and how the industry is working. So I would say I'm like from my personal point of view, I'm not up to that mark where I can just step onto industry and say, okay, I can do this. So I haven't gained that enough confidence within me. So but I'm keep learning. Like I'm in the process. So I'm hoping like one day I'll learn and then do better in the industry, do something for the industry.
Great, thank you very much. So on that note, I kind of want to understand, given that we have obviously students from Australia, India, and here in China, it'd be good to kind of understand from the panel, perhaps, what have they learned at their institution on their program within the context of filmmaking? So some key elements that have been learned that have really enhanced their filmmaking skills and just knowledge more broadly. So I'm gonna pose this for a response from Yuchen firstly.
In this semester in my year 4 studies, we have a course called Documentary and Reality, and this course it was in this course I first time touched the Arri Alexa Mini LF, which is the dream camera that I want to own. And during this course, I learned before I started this course, I only make documentary in a very tough way. Just edit the clips and cast the sounds, and I think this course made me have a deeper understanding in documentary filmmaking. And outside the campus, I also worked as an assistant of producer in the program of First International Film Festival, which was one of the biggest film festival in China. And during this program, I worked in a Kickstart script program, and this program taught me that the script writer, this job in China, they are losing themselves in the dilemma, because I stayed with the director as well as the writer during the film festival, and we made a pitch to attract financial aids. And during the pitch, I found that many production companies, they are trying to control the script writer to rewrite, to change their script, change their stories. And I think that's a cruel reality. And it's unfair to treat the script writers in the industry. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Yuchen. I'm going to pass it to Belle now. So when I arrived on campus in China back in April, one of the first practical workshops I delivered was, I think, to Belle. So it'd be good to hear your thoughts now about maybe some of the practical skills that you've learned here at UNNC, and perhaps when I pose the question to the rest of the panel, we can understand maybe some of the commonalities or perhaps some of the things that other people have found very helpful for their filmmaking development.
When I first have come up with the idea of making films, I joined the workshop made by Professor Zhao Yu and Levi, and we have knowledge of making script and also I touched the professional camera and some equipment the phone of our class. The first one is the knowledge, like we have some reading and we will watch films, and these two professors will guide us to like how to analyze the screen, the scene of the film, and also like in the last of the class, we actually try to use the equipment. So I think this is the basic knowledge that I learned from the class. But like outside the classroom, I actually learned a lot from my kind of filmmaking teammates. Like they are professional actors and they are professional photographer, and they teach me a lot of things about how to making films and how to like break down each scene and to like really track the pace of the production. And I also like maybe learn from the also social media like YouTube and some like they are very kind to offer the knowledge that maybe will maybe is only in this field. And so yeah, so from these three channels. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think I'm going to pass this on to Meg, because I know, Meg, you were talking a lot about, you know, the last year has been kind of very intense for kind of what you've learned in terms of your, you know, the filmmaking process and the skills that are needed. But perhaps we can dive a little bit more deeply into it. Like what practices and skills have you learned for you, or maybe there's a few things that you'd like to really delve in a little bit more deeply about?
Yeah, I'm drawing so many blanks here, but I know there'll be so much. I think one of the biggest tools, I suppose, this year has kind of taught me, or the course has taught me, is utilize the staff and your educators and utilize your peers. Like obviously we're taught so much about how to actually make a film, you know, like the practical and everything. But I think one of the biggest things I've taken away from this is we're given these incredible educators that you have a direct line of access to. And the biggest thing for me has been utilize that, ask them so many questions. The poor teachers at uni probably are bombarded by me all the time, but like, you know, we had Vikrant last year, I think, and we've had just this amazing bunch of educators, and then even utilizing our peers. Like, unfortunately, because of COVID, you didn't actually get a really good idea of the skills your peers have, but like they're absolutely incredible. Like some of the most beautiful color grades I saw this year, acting, just like production design, everything was just incredible. And I learned so much from my peers. So I think that's been one of the biggest tools that I've learned this year, is just like listen to everyone around you, absorb what they know, go to them for help, and then you can help them. And yeah, just utilize your educators. They're there for a reason, and you're so lucky to have this direct line with them. So I think that's been one of the biggest things, aside from all the technical, you know, how to turn on a camera sort of things.
Hey, thank you very much. It's quite interesting because you're kind of touching on there, like the soft skills as well that is needed, because ultimately, you know, filmmaking, whatever context it may be, it's a collaboration, and we need people in particular roles to kind of make sure if it's a piece of art or a product that it's realized in a way that's of quality and that can, you know, resonate with viewers ultimately. Adam, I can see you're ready to go, so I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, I thought Meg put it really well. From my perspective, I think, yeah, the educators, because a lot of them work in the industry, they're not, you know, they know their stuff. And so I remember last year, I really enjoyed it when like the cinematography teacher would talk about like the industry politics, or like, you know, how you kind of rise, or, you know, make your way through the industry, rise up the ladder. I thought that was really fascinating because, you know, you can't really get that point of view or that perspective anywhere else, you know, not like through, I guess, a curriculum or, you know, through the internet. I've always found it really interesting, fascinating, just hearing the stories from practitioners and how they got to where they were, and, you know, yeah.
No, great, thank you very much. I'm interested because you both kind of reference the cameras. What cameras do you have over there at Deakin University? Any worthy that you want to talk about?
Use the Reds. I think it's the Red Helium 8K, and then if you're lucky enough to do honors, it's a Arri Alexa Mini, I think.
Yeah, final year, final unit. So very close to being done. I want to explore production design a lot more. So I'm trying to jump on as many short films as I can, build my folio a bit. I'm really actually very fascinated in intimacy coordination. We learned about it at the start of this year, and from a few sets I've been on, meeting a few there, it absolutely fascinates me. So I'd love to get into that eventually. Unfortunately, it's not just like one of our courses where you can apply and put it on Hex, that sort of stuff. It's very standalone. So that's probably a lot further down the line, but I just want to be on set in some capacity, honestly. Keep learning and keep making connections, and yeah, I'm pretty happy to just see where it all goes for me.
Great, thank you very much. And Adam, I know that maybe, well, I don't think you noted to me about what year you're in, but what does the future and aspirations for you look like?
Yeah, also third year, polishing off my final units as well. I don't know, I think I'm really fascinated by visual effects and also cinematography. They're two very different fields, and, you know, they're from two very different parts of a production. But you know, growing up making films, I used to make a lot of special effects films, and so I think in Melbourne, there's quite a thriving industry for visual effects. That's something that I'm keen to look into, and also just make my own stuff and be a DP for my friends and all that, and work on their projects.
Great, and just out of interest from the both of you, is the kind of the filmmaking environment in the industry itself, particularly when you're starting out, is it very competitive? Is it quite straightforward to secure paid work after graduation, or is it something that I think you alluded to earlier, Meg, about continuing networking and trying to gain that experience to get through the door? But yes, maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's definitely, so I'm currently in the process of applying for jobs, and it's clearly a very big who you know industry, which when you're starting out is incredibly hard, which is where what I was saying before, you know, use your teachers, the people you know really well, because I've gotten a few contacts through people I've met, the faculty at uni, so that's been fantastic. But yeah, so I'm currently in the process of applying. The only thing that's quite hard is you go into Seek and it's not right there. You have to do a lot of digging, and it's rarely on something like Seek or Indeed, which are your recruitment websites in Australia. So that's quite challenging. You really have to dig a bit deeper online, but biggest thing is networking. I don't know if you feel the same, Adam. I would assume so.
Yeah, it's very very intimidating when you go out to look for work and there's like nothing there, and then yeah, it is very much so about networking and getting to sort of schmooze with people, I guess. I'm quite lucky. I think I've met a lot of great people along the way, and I think also a big thing is building a portfolio. That's something that I really endeavor to do. You know, having the work speak for itself really helps, I think.
Thank you very much. So I see that Tanishka and Nitin, you're back on screen. So I'm going to pass the question over to the both of you, and perhaps you can provide some insight for us. And in case you weren't present and hear my original question, I'm interested to know from each panel member about your aspirations once you complete your studies, and also what are the realistic opportunities available to you in India once you've completed your studies?
Sure. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, just about a little bit quiet though. So maybe the volume can be increased.
So I am almost done with my bachelor's, and I'll be wrapping up my college within 5 to 6 months. And I really want to make a career in PR and advertising. But for now, I have my mind set on pursuing master's because I want to brush up before I actually get into the working field. But I have my mind totally set on being a part of the PR department. I've actively worked for many internships during my 3 years of bachelor's, and I have advertised digitally by being a digital media manager. So basically, what my work portfolio shows is that how I have worked with companies and I have marketed them online. And through this, social media has really worked and really helped us in any field, in recognition within the firms that I have worked in. So I was hoping that through all these steps that I'm taking in my bachelor's and the steps or the projects that I will take up in my master's, I was hoping that these will help me build a portfolio and further help me get a kickstart as a PR person.
Thank you very much. And Nitin.
Hello. So I would like to add something to this before answering this question. So you earlier asked what sort of equipments do we have, and how do we learn in our studio and in our college. So we do have camcorders a lot, and right now we are in a part of a process. So even right now the cameras have been set up, and this is a learning. So every day we come to the college, so I get to pick up something new. And so that is the one thing which I'm glad that I'm part of this college and part of this university, that the things are being provided, and if you're willing, then you can learn a lot. And just by coming, and teachers are very helpful, especially Madhav sir. So for the past few months, we have created 2 films for the film festival which happened in Mumbai, and our films got to the finals. Unfortunately, we did not win, but we made it to the finals, and we are glad about it. So yeah, so learning experience over here is very good. And coming back to my aspirations and what I want to do in the future after completing my degree, hopefully this year it will be the last one. So for my future plans, I would say, so we are not limited to the film area only. So we're doing a journalism and mass communication course. So news channels are also open to us, and we have a lot of big people coming from that industry as well, in order to hire relatively new talents and new students just to pick up their work and start learning. So apart from only filmmaking, I think journalism is one thing which I want to personally try out. And as a writer, I believe that I can do well in that. So I do want to write for a newspaper or a small magazine, just for the starters, after completing my degree. So yeah, that opportunity, we also have that. But talking in terms of filmmaking, I think my writing would be the key thing. Right now, I'm also being a part of theater. I'm writing for a play, and later in the future, I also see working towards that, or maybe write something for a film. So yeah, that's my aspirations.
Great, it's very exciting. Thank you very much to each of the panel members. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass it over to audience members, both physically present at a particular location and those that are currently signed in on Zoom. So does anybody have a question? Perhaps you would like to step forward and ask one of the panel members. Don't worry, I've still got plenty of questions. If no, oh yes, Filippo Gilardi, head of school, is going to come up and post a question.
Yeah, I'm curious about how in the different countries the students finance their project. So who pay for the films?
Okay, so just to repeat that question. So for each panel member or those that are in Australia and India, how do you see your projects funded? So perhaps we'll start with Meg and Adam. You'd like to provide some insight into that.
For me personally, I think I'd like to start with a lot of self-funded stuff. I think that's probably the best way to really to get ahead. Like I love watching like the micro budget early films of like Christopher Nolan. He did this little £6,000 film that got him into his career, or got his career kickstarted. And there's a whole behind the scenes documentary about that, which I find really fascinating. So yeah, I think you do have to make a lot of your own stuff on your own, and really having that work speak for yourself. Because a lot of funding bodies really do require you to have a portfolio of work, just as reference.
Okay, so I don't know about your peers as well, is it common at Deakin University or even Australia for crowdfunding to kind of get a project kickstarted?
Yeah, definitely. On our third year film, my director, he obviously going to third year, we knew we're making third year films. So he was ready to go from January when we started filming in August, basically. So he had been saving quite a bit for that time. But we also wanted to have basically as much funds as we could. So we did a lot of crowdfunding. And most of the projects I've worked on, we've done crowdfunding through GoFundMe. And yeah, it's really good. You have to be very engaged to, share it constantly, or like I do, I just pick all of my mum's friends and then I put them into a group chat and then send them the link and then I leave. So yeah, we've used it quite a bit and it's really good. I definitely recommend getting onto a GoFundMe or something like that.
Okay, and out of interest, for your practice-based program you're studying on, correct? And you're now, I imagine, will be working towards your final major project, or synonymous with dissertation. And so, are you both, Meg and Adam, are you going to be creating like a major film for your final assessment? Is that something that you will be doing?
Already done.
Already done. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was any kind of funding integrated into that as part of your studies, or did you again just have to strictly kind of maybe have people working for free and find your own kind of source of income for it?
Yeah, a lot of the performers are very generous with their time. Cast and crew usually work for free. Our main expenses for our film, the film that I did, it's about, I think, just more specialty things like getting an armor. That was quite a lot of money. Securing locations as well. And yeah, we went through that GoFundMe pipeline as well. And that was my first time ever experiencing that, and working with that. It was quite good. But a lot of the budget had to come out of pocket, out of my pocket and the producer's pocket as well.
Yeah, that's certainly something that, as you're kind of an aspiring, filmmaker, it's quite common that we go to our own pockets to kind of produce this piece of art that we love, and we feel like the story that we need to tell. So that certainly, I imagine, resonates with many people. So the same question is posed to Nitin and Tanishka, like how does funding work for you at your institution, and or maybe more broadly outside of your institution if you want to make a film?
So all the projects that I've worked in are mostly my uni assignments, and they are independent projects that are assigned to every student individually. So basically the funding aspects, we have to take care of ourselves. Although the college always provides us with the equipments, for example, we need cameras, we need mics, we need any tripods or any other technical appliances, we get that from the university itself. We also have the studio, which is available to us all the time. And we just need to fill out an application and we are free to use the studio. We are free to use a green screen. So I'm really grateful for that aspect, because this is mostly the only loophole that arises in every filmmaker's work, that we don't get the proper equipments or the proper technical help that we need. And apart from that, the actors or the cast and crew that I get, they work for free because they also need to build their portfolio. So it's basically a barter trade, that I get my work done and they get something for their portfolio, or they get something for their resume. So for till now, all the projects that I have worked in, or any project that I have taken upon, has been very pocket friendly for me.
Great, thank you very much. Did you have anything to add, Nitin?
Yep, add one thing to this. So in India, like, we are very connected, like we are in a very connected space. For example, when you said outside the university, how do you get the funding? So we have like a lot of independent filmmakers and small studios which coming up. Thanks to OTT, now everybody wants to make a series of their own. So now they want ideas. So if you have a good idea, if you have a good story, you can just pitch out to them. And if it sounds good to them, like, they will for surely make you for it. So we do have like those sort of small studios around us. And and we are connected with that because we are now becoming a part of this community or a family of filmmaking. So I think in India it's a one good thing. So if you want to find a solution for your problem, I think it's out there. So you don't have to struggle that much. So but your idea has to be good. Like, other person has to like it, and then they go for it. Otherwise, it's mostly out of our own pockets, or like if you want to do something which which represents DME, or in some way, like, our university can help. So our dean sir and our HOD is always there to help us out. So thank you for that. And but yeah.
So great, yeah, very interesting. Thank you. So for the interest of the international audience, I'm going to pose the same question to Eugene and Belle. Maybe you can, because here at IC, we're primarily a theoretical course. So we do integrate practice-based modules. So there's opportunities for students to kind of learn practical filmmaking skills. So it'd be good to understand, because I know with the two students we have here, they are often making lots of films outside of the curriculum. So yeah, Eugene, perhaps you could talk a little bit about your own.
Thanks. And as Levi said, we are theoretical courses students, so normally we don't have financial funding in our university, but outside of our university, in the Chinese industry, I do know some ways to attract the fundings. Like for students, usually in the film school or something, art, academics, the students often, they do dodge pay for their graduate works. And sometimes if the script is creative or outstanding enough, their institution will pay some of their budget. And for those who are not student or student outside of the institutions, there are some platforms used to attract mass funding. Like you post your story logline there, and people who are interested to be your contributor, they pay little money for it, but it costs a lot of time, because usually people pay very, very little money, like 20 yuan, 50 yuan. And for those indie filmmakers who have already graduated from school, there are lots of independent production company in China, and they have their special ways to attract fundings. But unlike those very capitalized production companies, there are more freedom. They have more freedom in the creation, in the filmmaking. So I think this could be a good way for Chinese students who want to do an independent film project. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you very much, Yuchen. Do you have anything to add, Belle? Yep. Okay, thank you.
Actually, because lot of actually I made my film use my own savings, which empty my wallet, and also because my film is kind of story resist my family, so I didn't tell them what I have produced. But like because I gather people from social media and like WeChat and some platforms like Chinese platform, and they have kind of like a discussion board, like you can post your information of your films, and someone who are interested, they can join, and they also like because they are volunteering, so they won't like ask for too many fees. Therefore, like my film actually cost me about like 900 pounds. But like yeah, but maybe it will cost most because I haven't finished yet. So like yes, actually I was I also know some of the kind of like budget plan for independent filmmakers, and they will like film festival, and or they are kind of like people with passion gathering together. So I actually suggest that because our school has theoretical teaching for students, so like I would like to maybe ask the like for the possibilities of if our school can give give the funding to students who are really interested in films, and maybe I think it can be kind of like a dream scholarship. And yeah, but yes, so that's my yeah words.
Thank you very much. So yeah, so even though as we've kind of pointed out, we're a theoretical school mainly, that is taking a huge shift in the last year with the development of our facilities. We had the arrival of the Arri Alexa Mini LF this year, which was used to shoot the Batman. So yeah, a noteworthy film there. And we've also just been approved in principle for an LED virtual production studio, motion capture studio, and a Mac lab as well. So we're kind of quite excited for the future about kind of bringing more practice-orientated courses. So thank you very much to everyone. I believe we're moving on now to almost 3:15, and for the interest of the remainder of the sessions, I think I will need to bring it to a halt. But I just want to say a massive thank you to each panel member. So Yuchen here with us and with me, and Belle as well as Tanishka, Nitin, Meg, and Adam. And I hope for those of you that have been watching have found it insightful and interesting. So that's it from me, and I will pass you now on to Vikrant.